Within the hollow chambers of the restless breast, where shadows lengthen against the architecture of the soul, a soft vibration stirs, a summons from the architect of the morning. Let not the masonry of your heart crumble beneath the weight of worldly tremors, for the foundations are set in a soil that does not shift. The high priest of the Paschal dawn stands at the threshold of the uncreated light, whispering of mansions not hewn by human hands, but woven from the very breath of the eternal. There is a geometry of grace in the Father's house, an infinite sequence of rooms where every sigh finds its resolution, and every exile discovers a native tongue. We are but pilgrims treading the dust of our own questions, seeking a map in a landscape of shifting dunes. Yet the way is not a route etched in parchment, but a person walking beside the weary. Behold the cornerstones of the New Jerusalem, where the living stones are gathered by the masonry of mercy. You ask for the itinerary of the Spirit, seeking a compass to navigate the labyrinth of the temporal. But the truth is a mirror, reflecting the face of the unseen. To see the Son is to witness the Father's gaze, a luminescence that pierces the veil of the sanctuary. No longer do we wander in the penumbra of the law, for the life has become our heartbeat, the very oxygen of our resurrection. In this fifth movement of the Easter tide, the tomb is not merely empty, it has become the doorway to 1,000 hallways of glory, each one prepared with the meticulous love of a creator who knows the number of the stars and the depth of your hidden grief. Philip's ancient longing echoes in our liturgy today, the desperate cry to see the source and be satisfied. But the satisfaction is already pressed against our lips in the bread of life and the wine of the vine. The Father is not a distant silhouette on a mountain of fire, but the one who prepares a table in the presence of our transience. Every corridor of this celestial dwelling is fragranced with the incense of the saints, and every window opens upon a vista of peace that the world cannot manufacture. We come to the Lord not as strangers, stumbling into a palace, but as children returning to the hearth after a long and bitter winter. The fire is lit, the lintels are marked with the blood of the Lamb, and the invitation is an irrevocable covenant. Come now, you living stones, and let yourselves be built into a spiritual house where the echoes of the Alleluia never fade into silence. The rhythm of our journey is governed by the cadence of His footsteps, the way that leads through the valley of shadows into the noonday of the Godhead. We do not walk toward a destination of stone and mortar, but into the intimacy of a triune embrace. The truth is the anchor cast into the depths of the divine mystery, and the life is the sap rising through the branches of the vine. In the sacred assembly, we are the mosaic of His presence, each fragment necessary, each color intentional, held together by the mortar of a love that survived the cross and outshone the sun. fading of the grass or the cooling of the stars. For the word that spoke the light into existence has promised a homecoming that knows no sunset. We are the Easter people, defined not by our wandering, but by the one who found us in the garden, in the symmetry of the Father's house. Every broken line is made straight, every jagged edge is polished, and the song of the choir becomes the heartbeat of the universe, thrumming with the certainty that we are finally, eternally at rest in the way, the truth, and the life. Through the arched silence of the basalt years and the long thrumming vigil of the unlit wick, we have carved your name into the very lintels of our exhaustion. There is a weight in the Advent air, a suspension of breath, the taste of cold iron and coming cedar, where the ancient dust of the prophets mingles with the fresh frost of a Judean midnight. We are the inheritors of a sigh that began when the first gates were barred, a lineage of the tethered who have learned to read the braille of the stars while waiting for a hand to touch the horizon. We stand in the nave of history, where the echo of the Stuttgart cadence grounds our feet upon the shivering storm. And we summon the king who arrives not with the roar of a predator, but with the terrible fragility of a heartbeat. Come, O long expected, who was whispered in the tents of nomads and calculated in the geometries of the Magi. For our knees are calloused from the stone, and our spirits are thin as beaten gold. You are the release of the captive, not merely from the iron shackle, but from the internal cage of the self, where the shadows of our own making have long outgrown our stature. From the stump of Jesse, where the sap seemed dry, to a memory of greenness emerge. Now, as the sovereign branch that defies the winter of our discontent, we do not ask for a conqueror who tramples the vintage of wrath, but for the deliverer who gathers the scattered fragments of our dignity and knits them into a royal garment. The choir breathes as one, a single lung of prayer, vibrating against the stained glass, where the story of the light is told in shards of sapphire and crimson. They sing of the consolation of Israel, a phrase that carries the salt of 1,000 years of tears, and the honey of a promise kept against the odds of entropy. It is the music of the great homecoming, where the prodigal species recognizes the gate of its creator, walking through the tall grass of the world's evening. Every voice is a thread of silver, pulled through the dark fabric of the present, a sonic spanning the abyss between and the at hand, until the air itself feels heavy with the gravity of your approach. Born to set thy people free is the mantra of the revolutionary, and the lullaby of the weary, for there is no freedom like the surrender to a love that knows the architecture of our bones. Break the heart of the oppressor by the gentleness of your entry, and break the pride of the righteous by the poverty of your cradle. We have built cathedrals of pride and dungeons of despair, but you seek only the manger throne of a willing spirit, where the cattle of our instincts low in the presence of the infinite. Let the Stuttgart melody rise like a pillar of smoke in the wilderness, a steady and rhythmic pulse that mimics the walking pace of those who journey toward the light. You are the desire of every nation, even those who have forgotten how to name their hunger, or have tried to sate it with the husks of fleeting empires. There is a cosmic ache that only the incarnation can soothe, the tectonic shift in the soul, when the creator becomes the creature and hallows the very dust we tread. In the harmony of the voices, we hear the reconciliation of all things, the high soprano of hope dancing above the deep bass of our mortality, creating a resonance that shakes the foundations of the tomb before it is even occupied. This is the advent of the eternal kingdom, where the scepter is held by a hand that will one day bear the scar of our salvation. By thine own eternal spirit rule in all our hearts alone, for we have tried the governance of kings and the whims of the mob, and found them wanting of the mercy that only a shepherd king can provide. Bring us out of the twilight of our expectations into the noon of your presence, where the long expected becomes the forever possessed. We are no longer orphans of the void, but children of the promise, standing on the threshold of a new creation, where the first light of the morning star is already catching on the edges of our songs. The hymn ends, but the vibration remains us of our songs. The hymn ends, but the vibration remains us of our songs. The hymn ends, but the vibration of our songs. The hymn ends of our songs. Through the arch silence of the basalt hears. In the shadow of the Pyrenean peaks, where the wind carves the stone into needles of ice, there lived a small breath of a girl, a flicker in the damp gloom of the Cachot. The walls of her world tasted of salt and ancient hunger, yet her hands held the worn wood of the beads, as if it were the only warmth left in the hollow of the earth. Bernadette, small sister of the brambles, gatherer of dry wood along the banks of the Gave, you did not seek the thrones of the valley or the gold of the cathedral spires, for your eyes were tuned to a frequency of the unseen, a quiet hum beneath the roar of the mountain water that others mistook for silence. Massabielle waited like a mouth of earth, dark and forgotten by the respectable, a sanctuary for the refuse of the river and the prayers of the desperate who had nowhere else to turn. Then came the tremor in the leaves of the wild rose, a rustle that was not the north wind, but the stirring of a celestial garment. A lady of light stood in the niche, clothed in the brilliance of 1,000 midnights turned to noon. Her feet graced by the yellow roses of the mountain, her waist bound by a ribbon, the color of a summer sky after the rain. You knelt in the dirt, the rosary sliding through your fingers like smooth pebbles of faith. And in that moment, the hierarchy of the world was inverted. For the queen of the stars spoke to the child of the breadlines in the language of the heart. They laughed when you scratched at the earth with trembling hands, your fingernails blackened by the silt, and the mockery of the wise who see only the surface of things. You drank the muddy slurry, an act of madness to the clean, a feast of humility that the proud could never swallow. But the mud grew clear, the earth surrendered its secrets, and a vein of liquid silver began to pulse from the rock. A persistent heartbeat of mercy that would never run dry. This was the baptism of the grotto, where the wounds of the flesh met the purity of the hidden deep. And the water carried the scent of a grace that does not bargain with the worthy, but flows freely to the broken. I am the Immaculate Conception, she whispered. And you who knew only the patois of the poor and the rhythm of the shepherd's call, carried those heavy words like precious porcelain back to the gates of the town. You did not understand the dogma of the scholars, yet you were the living vessel of its truth. A child of grace who walked between the raindrops of doubt without getting wet. Your poverty was your protection, a transparency that allowed the light of the lady to pass through you without the distortion of ego or the shadow of ambition. You were the messenger who became the message, a quiet witness to the reality that the smallest soul is the widest window for the divine. The world demanded a spectacle, a saint to be touched and measured. But you chose the shadow of the cloister, the white veil of nevers, where the only applause was the clicking of beads and the slow erosion of your bones. Your suffering was a silent liturgy, a long winter of the body, where the flowers of the grotto were replaced by the thorns of the cross. I am ground like a grain of wheat, you said, as the light of your soul prepared to leave the fragile lantern of your frame. You did not ask for the healing you gave to millions. You offered your pain as a ladder of sighs, reaching toward the one who smiled at you in the niche of the rock when you were only a girl with a bundle of sticks. Now the mountains echo with the songs of the pilgrims, a river of fire moving through the dark. Each candle a prayer ignited by your simple and devastating yes. The water still rises cold and crystalline, washing the dust from the eyes of the blind and the heavy burdens from the hearts of the weary. Child of grace, you remain in the still kneel the lowest, and that the grace of the lady is a spring that begins in the heart of a child who was never afraid to believe in the impossible. The bells have ceased their bronze complaint, and now the sanctuary holds the amber weight of 7 o'clock. We stand as a small assembly of the twilight, our breath catching on the syllables of ancient promise as the day folds its weary wings. The air is thick with the scent of melted wax and the cool breath of stone, a Catholic silence that prepares the way for the shepherd's entry. He does not come as a tyrant of the storm, but as the quiet governance of the soul, a king whose scepter is a staff of gnarled olive wood. In this hour, the frantic pulse of the world slows to the rhythm of the cantor's lead, and we recognize that to be ruled by him is to finally be free from the anarchy of our own desires. Sovereignty is the gravity that keeps our wandering hearts from drifting into the void, a divine magnetism that pulls the stray back to the warmth of the communal fold. The green is the color of his mercy, yet tonight it manifests as the deep emerald of a forest at rest, hidden from the scorching glare of the noonday sun. He leads us not to the shallow, muddy ponds of earthly distraction, but to the silver still waters of a grace that reflects the stars. There is no haste in his command, only the steady, patient pace of one who has walked the Via Dolorosa and knows the exact weight of a human spirit. We are the sheep of his pasture, bruised by the week's long labor and the sharp briars of our own making, seeking the grass that grows where the light of the tabernacle falls. He unbinds the heavy yoke of our ambitions and points toward the meadow of the Spirit, where the only requirement is to be still and know the providence of the one who names us. Even as the shadows lengthen across the nave, stretching like long dark fingers toward the high altar, we do not falter at the onset of the night. The valley of the shadow is no longer a place of terror, but a between the day's fatigue and the eternal dawn. His rod is the strength of the cross, a vertical truth in a horizontal world. His staff is the whisper of the Spirit in the ear of the frightened, a gentle hook that pulls us back from the precipice of despair. When the world screams its chaos and the wolves of anxiety howl at the doors of our minds, his voice remains the velvet gravity that keeps us grounded. I shall not want for vanity or the hollow gold of the city, for the shepherd provides the bread of life that suffices for the journey through the deepest gloom. A table is spread before us in the sight of every ghost that haunts our history, a liturgical feast prepared by the hands that were pierced for our sake. He pours the oil of gladness upon our weary brows, a chrism of restoration that heals the cracks of doubt and the scars of our secret wars. The cup is not merely full, it is a fountain, a spill of crimson grace that stains the common cloth of our mundane lives with the purple of a celestial royalty. We sit as guests of the High King, transformed from beggars into heirs, eating the silence that nourishes more than any earthly banquet. The enemies of our peace, shame, regret, and the fear of the end, stand back in the shadows, blinded by the radiance of this holy hospitality and the unbreakable rule of the Shepherd King. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow us, not as passive observers, but as persistent hunters of our hearts, chasing us through the gray streets of Monday and the trials of the midweek sun. They are the twin hounds of heaven, relentless in their pursuit, until we return to the house where the incense never fades. At 7 o'clock on the side of Sunday, the cycle of the week finds its holy resolution, and we find ourselves tucked within the thick wool of the shepherd's cloak. We shall dwell in the house of the Lord, not as transient visitors or strangers at the gate, but as the very stones of the temple, forever held in the loving gaze of the one who rules our life, with a devotion that will never let us go. The choir's final note ascends into the rafters, leaving us anchored in the peace of a kingdom that has no end. Ave Regina Caelorum, Hail Lady of the heights where the planets hum in their concentric circles, weaving a garment of sapphire and silver for the feet of the Mother. We seek the frequency of the primordial breath, the 432 heartbeats of a universe at rest within the palm of its creator. Here, in the hollow of this holy vibration, there is no commerce of the mind, no flickering shadows of the marketplace, no voices shouting for gold or attention. There is only the uninterrupted stream of grace flowing from the throne of the rose, a sanctuary where the silence is not an absence, but a presence so dense it vibrates like a golden bell struck in the center of the sun. Mistress of the morning star, thou art the pitch to which the broken soul retunes its strings. The world is a jagged discord of jagged frequencies, a cacophony of urgent demands, and neon distractions that fragment the spirit into 1,000 shards of glass.